For our enemy system, I chose to go to Mixamo and search for zombie and then choose a whole bunch of these characters, and I'm going to download it into our game and use them as our zombie characters. The download process is pretty straightforward. Select the zombie of your choice and then click on download, and then click download it in a T-pose, or you can even download it in the original pose. It doesn't really matter. And then you just go ahead and click on download. And inside of our content drawer, I'm going to create a new folder for our zombies. And inside of here, I'm going to create another folder, and this would be my Mixamo folder. Open this up, and then I'm going to drag and drop this character FBX that we just downloaded inside of here. The asset name, I'm going to name it exactly how it is in Mixamo. And then I'm going to click on the skeletal meshes. And here, I want to make sure that import skeletal meshes is selected. I'm going to go ahead and click on import, and that will bring all of the assets in here. I'm going to quickly create a new folder just to keep everything nice and tidy and name this textures. Select everything that has to do with textures and materials and then move it inside of this texture folder. And then let's go ahead and save all selected. And now for the second character, I'm going to go ahead and select this Yaku J Ignite character. Do the same thing, download. Once it is downloaded, I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop that character in here. The only difference here is I'm going to select our skeletal meshes. I'm going to use our existing skeletal mesh. We're going to use the zombie girl as our major skeleton mesh and then use it for everything else. So as you can see, the zombie girl skeleton is already selected. And then let's go ahead and import it. What this will do is it will generate the character for the skeletal mesh, but it's not going to create a new skeleton because the zombie girl skeleton is going to be our main skeleton. Again, I'm going to select all of these textures and materials and then move it. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the rest of the characters. All right, I'm going to create a new folder for miscellaneous, and this would be our physics or any other assets that has nothing to do with our skeletal mesh. I'm going to drag it and move it into this miscellaneous folder and then create a new folder for our skeletal mesh and then move all of the other skeletal mesh inside of here. Let's go ahead and save all. And that should save everything in our game. Now I'm going to create a new folder, and this would be for our animation. And in Mixamo, I'm just going to select our zombie girl as our main character, go to animations, and then search for zombie. And that should give me a whole bunch of animations to choose from. And I'm going to go ahead and start downloading one by one and bring it into the game. Starting with the idle animation. So I'm going to go ahead and search for zombie idle. Now, you could always choose to modify these animations just to give it a little bit more variation before you actually download it. You can actually play with all of these parameters on the right side of the screen to affect how the animation works. For example, if you set the overdrive to at the very bottom, the character is going to move very slowly in the idle position. And if you were to put it to the max, then you will notice that the idle is much more faster. So this gives you two different variations of animations to choose from. And again, character arm space, you can move it so the character arm is, okay, not like that. But if you go the opposite direction, you will see the character arm is moved out. You can choose different settings here and download the assets as you would like. Another one is the height. So this is how straight the zombie is going to stand. As you can see, this gives you a completely different variation of the idle animation. So I'm going to mess with these settings and then start downloading these zombie idle animations for our idle animations. And when you download the animation, let's make sure that you set it to 60 frames per second and then you download it without any skin. We already have the Mixamo skeleton set up in our game, so we don't need the skin anymore. And we just need to go ahead and download it here. Now I have downloaded several variations of the idle animation. I downloaded a whole bunch of them actually. And in the animation folder, I'm going to create a new folder, and this would be for our idle. And open this up. We're going to go ahead and drag all of the idle animations into here. And then let's make sure under skeletal meshes, you select zombie girl as the skeleton so that it properly fits all of the characters that we just downloaded from Mixamo. And then we're going to go ahead and click on import. And there you go. And that brings in all of the idle animations into the game. If I were to just double click on one, it should work fine. And under here where I have the preview mesh, if I select it, I should have all of the other Mixamo characters readily available. And if I click on any other character, it should automatically work because we are sharing the same skeleton. Now we're going to go ahead and save all and do the same thing for the walk animation. So I'm going to create a new folder. and this would be for walk. And in Mixamo, I'm going to go ahead and download a whole bunch of walk animations. One thing to keep in mind when you're downloading your animations from Mixamo is if you select an animation and if you see the character is moving out of the screen just like this, make sure you select this in place checkmark box so the character actually stays in place. So it works very well with the Unreal. Unreal root motions can be a real pain if you don't handle it properly. So we can avoid all of that issue just by checking this in place box. Once again, I'm going to select all of my zombie walk animations and then bring it into Unreal Engine. Select the proper skeleton and import. Save all. Next one is going to be our attack animation. Next folder, it's going to be our death animations. I think this is a good start for us to get started with our enemy system. And the way that we're going to do the enemy system is everything is going to be modular and everything is going to have its own databases. So if you ever want to add more characters or add more animations, you just need to update the database and make sure that the skeleton is compatible with the Mixamo skeleton so that you don't have to go and do all of this retargeting and stuff like that. We're going to go to our core folder and create a new folder. And this would be our enemy underscore system. And inside of here, we're going to create a new folder for our database. Let's open that up. And first thing that we need is our structure. And this structure is going to be s underscore zombie anims. Inside of here, it's only going to have one variable, and that would be our animation. And this would be of type anim sequence. And make this an object reference. Compile and save it. We're going to go ahead and create a new data table. And this would be based off of our zombie anims. Press OK. And this data table is dt underscore zombie underscore idle. Open this up, add a new row. Here we need to choose our zombie idle animation. The easiest way to do it is go back to your zombies folder. We're going to choose the idle animation and we're going to plug it into here line by line. Now, first thing that I want to do here, I wanted to have a structured name for all of these animations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select all of these animation, right click, click on batch rename. And I'm going to rename this to z underscore idle underscore. And then here where it has auto increment, I'm going to click on auto increment and I'm going to start it at 1. And leave the step at 1. And as you can see, this is the old file name. And then this is going to be your new file name, which looks a lot more structured. And we're going to go ahead and apply, and that will rename all of your idle animations to proper structures. Now I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this into our data table and start creating a row for each and every single animation here. So that's all the 18 animations for the idle. I'm going to go ahead and save it and close it. And now I'm going to right click and create a new data table. And this would be for using our zombie anim structure, the same structure. And we're going to name this as dt underscore zombie underscore walk. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go back to our walk folder. And let's go ahead and batch rename everything here. So this would be z underscore walk underscore, and then select this auto increment and start at 1. And that's going to rename our files properly and click on apply. So let's go ahead and add this in. That's all the 9 animation. Let's go ahead and save it and close it. Now we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to do the same thing for our death animation. So we're going to create a new data table, select our zombie anim structure, press OK, and then we're going to name this dt underscore zombie underscore death. Let's open up our data table here and then go back to our death folder. And let's go ahead and do a batch rename here as well. Z underscore death underscore and then auto increment and start at 1. And apply. There we go. And we have 4 death animations. So I'm going to create 4 rows. Save it. And the last one that we need to do is our attack animations. So I'm going to create a new data table. And this would be our zombie anims structure. dt underscore zombie underscore attack. Open it up. Same deal. We're going to go to our attack folder. Let's go ahead and rename using batch rename. Z underscore attack underscore, do an auto increment starting at 1 and then apply. Let's start adding this in. That's our 5 animations there. Let's go ahead and close it. And this is it for our animation setup. So I'm going to create a new folder and name this animations. And go ahead, select all of it, and then move it inside of this animations folder. And now create a new folder, and this would be for mesh. Open this up. And here we're going to create a new structure. And this would be s_zombie models. We're going to open up the structure, and the name of the variable is going to be our skeletal mesh. And the type would be the skeletal mesh object reference. Save this. And we're going to go ahead and create a new data table off of our s_zombie models. And this would be dt_zombie models. We're going to populate this table with all of our skeletal meshes that we have available for our zombies. So in our zombies folder, Mixamo skeletal mesh, we have all of these different type of zombies. So I'm going to go ahead and select all the zombies and then do a batch rename. Now I'm going to populate this data table with these zombie models. So let's go ahead and add in a new row and then keep dragging and dropping these models in there. That looks good. We have added all of our 7 models in there and we are good to go.